What if the warm glow of a hotel lobby was only a mask, hiding centuries of death, despair, and restless souls? Hotels are supposed to be places of luxury where weary travelers can rest, but sometimes they are cages, traps where spirits remain long after the living check out. Their stories linger in the walls, their voices seep through thin plaster, their footsteps echo long into the night. Tonight, we return to the world's most haunted accommodations, real hotels, real stories, and encounters reported by terrified guests who swear they will never step foot inside again. You thought the first haunted hotels were terrifying? Welcome to part 2, where the spirits grow louder and the shadows never fade. High in the Ozark Mountains sits the Grand Crescent Hotel, with its elegant stone arches and sweeping balconies. To the eye, it is the picture of luxury. But to those who stay here, it is a labyrinth of shadows, voices, and unexplainable cold spots. The Crescent has been called America's most haunted hotel. And for good reason. Built in 1886, it first catered to wealthy travelers seeking mineral springs. But by the 1930s, its purpose turned dark. A conman named Norman Baker purchased the building, transforming it into a hospital. He claimed he could cure cancer. But his treatments were nothing more than cruel experiments. Dozens, maybe hundreds, died here, their pain echoing forever through the halls. Guests describe the sound of hospital gurneys squeaking along the floors at night. In room 218, one of the most haunted, travelers report being shaken awake by unseen hands. Others hear the cries of patients begging for help. Staff whisper about a ghostly nurse pushing a cart through the dim corridors, stopping only to vanish into a wall. The Crescent was built for comfort, but it became a house of suffering. And even now, the spirits of Baker's victims seem determined to remind the living that they never left. At the heart of Austin, Texas, the Driscoll rises like a palace of marble and gold, but beneath its dazzling chandeliers lies one of the darkest reputations of any hotel in America. Built in 1886 by cattle baron Jesse Driscoll, the hotel became his pride and downfall. Only a year later, Driscoll lost the property in a gambling spree, dying penniless and bitter. Some believe his restless soul still wanders the halls, forever tied to the empire he once built. Guests report the smell of cigar smoke lingering in empty rooms. Others say they've encountered Jesse himself, a tall figure in a cowboy hat, fading into the shadows of the grand staircase. But his presence is far from the hotel's only ghost. One of the most chilling tales is of a little girl. In the late 1800s, the daughter of a senator was playing with a ball in the hallway when she slipped and fell down the grand staircase, breaking her neck. Her laughter, light, playful, and chillingly out of place, is still heard by guests at night. Some claim they've seen her ball bouncing by itself down the steps. Others speak of the suicide brides. Two separate brides, decades apart, who checked into room 525, only to take their lives in the bathtub. Guests who stay there report mirrors fogging over with strange shapes, and the crushing weight of despair settling over them, as if the room itself holds on to grief. At the Driscoll, beauty and luxury may draw you in, but it's sorrow and death that truly linger. In the shadow of Arizona's San Francisco peaks lies the Hotel Monte Vista, a cozy lodge that has hosted Hollywood stars, bootleggers, and weary travelers since 1927. But behind its rustic charm, the hotel hides a reputation so unsettling that many guests check out early. During Prohibition, the basement was a speakeasy. Gambling, fights, and murders were common. Today, staff hear the sound of clinking glasses and muffled laughter rising from below, long after the bar has closed. Room 210 is one of the most infamous. A man who lived there for years was found dead in his chair. Guests now report seeing him sitting silently in the corner, glaring, before fading into the wallpaper. In room 305, a rocking chair moves by itself, so often that even housekeepers refuse to enter alone. But the most terrifying stories involve the meat man. In the 1980s, a long-term resident was discovered storing raw meat in his room for reasons never explained. After his death, guests reported a heavy presence, a shadow figure that leans over the bed and breathes loudly in the dark. Some leave mid-stay, unable to endure the sensation of being watched. At the Monte Vista, the past has never truly left. The gamblers, the drinkers, and the damned seem to still roam the halls, waiting for the next guest who dares to open the wrong door. The Omni Parker House is one of Boston's most historic hotels, and also one of its most haunted. Built in 1855, it has been a gathering place for presidents, writers, and royalty. But history has a dark side, and the Parker House is soaked in restless energy. The original owner, Harvey Parker, was said to be a perfectionist who obsessed over his guests' satisfaction. After his death, visitors began seeing him wandering the halls, checking on people late at night. They describe a kindly but stern man in old-fashioned clothing, silently watching before disappearing. But Parker is hardly the only spirit. On the 10th floor, guests frequently hear the sound of laughter, clinking glasses, and footsteps in the hallway, only to open the door and find nothing. Elevators arrive on the wrong floors as if summoned by unseen hands. The 3rd floor is particularly feared, with reports of shadows crossing the walls and icy hands brushing against guests as they sleep. Even the famous have been unsettled here. Charles Dickens once stayed at the Parker House, and some say his ghost remains, pacing the halls with a book in hand. Staff refused to discuss certain incidents, but whisper of rooms locked tight after unexplained events, places where guests woke screaming and demanded to leave before dawn. At the Omni Parker House, hospitality never truly ends, not even in death. Perched on the rugged coast of Northern Ireland, Ballygally Castle looks like something out of a fairy tale. Built in 1625, it is a fortress of stone towers, arched gates, and a view of the cold, grey Irish Sea. But inside, the castle carries a story of betrayal, tragedy, and one of the most famous ghosts in Ireland. The legend begins with Lady Isabella Shaw. She was the wife of Lord James Shaw, who wanted a male heir. When Isabella gave birth to a daughter, her furious husband locked her in a high tower. Hungry and desperate, she attempted to escape by climbing down the stone walls, only to fall to her death. Some believe she was pushed. For centuries, her spirit has been said to haunt Ballygally. Guests report knocking on doors in the middle of the night, only to open them and find empty hallways. Cold spots drift through the castle, lingering longest in the tower where she died. Some claim to see a pale woman in a flowing gown, searching for the child she lost. Unlike other ghosts, Lady Isabella is not always described as frightening. Some visitors say her presence feels sad, even protective, as if she lingers to tell her story rather than to terrify. Still, the image of her figure, pale against the stone, gazing out at the sea, has been burned into the memory of countless guests who swear they've seen her. Ballygally Castle offers luxury suites and seaside views. But for those who stay, the memory of Lady Isabella lingers longer than any vacation. These are not just stories whispered in darkened rooms. These are real hotels you can still book a room in today. They have hosted the rich, the famous, and the ordinary. And yet, they are marked forever by death, grief, and restless spirits. So the question becomes, would you dare spend a night in one of them? Could you sleep, knowing that the sound of footsteps in the hallway might not belong to the living? This has been Mozyro. If you enjoyed tonight's journey into the world's most haunted hotels, be sure to like, subscribe, and share your own ghost stories in the comments. And remember, when you check into a hotel, make sure you're not sharing the room.